All right, happy Thursday, everyone. We're getting near the end of the week. We're almost done with it. Let's go. We're getting near the end of Groot's deck. We're doing a protection card and a basic card. Yeah, protection card and a basic card. It's always a little weird because the basic card, the first one is Rocket, and I always think it's Rocket the hero, not the ally card. It's confusing me. Um, anyway, so if you're new to these video series, basically we go through all the cards so far. Excuse me, we're not repeating any of them, so it seems like we're skipping cards. That's why, because we've probably done it in the past. Though I did repeat one once accidentally. But anyway, we're going through each card, just kind of giving my takes on them. Make sure you put down in the comments your thoughts and feelings. You know, it's just my subjective opinion, so I'm always interested in learning about what different people think and how they feel about these cards and ways that they use these cards, because sometimes it's just a learning exercise for me. So all right, let's go check out some cards. You already know what I'm going to say here. Go check out the podcast, right? You go listen to the podcast. It's videos like this that are just talking head videos where you don't really need to see the image and whatnot. So you can just go over there and check it out. I will let you know that we're going to be doing some new content that I think is going to be pretty cool. And it's gonna be more podcast focused. It's gonna be video as well, but it's gonna be more podcast focused, and I think people are gonna be pretty excited for it. Also, for everyone that's become a YouTube member recently, thank you. I really appreciate it. Memberships start at 99 cents. Just each month. It's 99 cents a month. It's less than a cup of coffee, and it helps with this channel a ton. We always talk about if everybody, or actually even if half, a little less than half, if less than half of the people that are subscribed to this channel, for the YouTube channel, join 99 cents here, we'd be doing this full time. That's how much 99 cents means. That's how important it is. So thank you everyone that's done that and signed up. And over on patreon.com/D20 Woodworking. If you don't like YouTube memberships, you can go over there and check out Patreon. So, all right, first card. This is the last protection card in the Groot deck, and it's hard to ignore. Now, I think it was a few days ago we talked about hard to ignore. I was like, I don't remember if we talked about this yet. Well, we hadn't talked about it yet because it's happening now. So, hard to ignore is a protection upgrade, 1-cost upgrade. It's a skill card. Hero response. After your hero defends against an attack and takes no damage, exhaust hard to ignore. And then cost error. Remove 1 threat from the main scheme. Now, we talked about this before where we had a card that if you defended or whatever, you remove 4 threats from the main scheme, whatever. Protection for a long time had a hard time keeping up with threat on the main scheme. This card kind of changes that. Now, why is that? Because you may be going, well, it's only putting 1 threat or removing 1 threat from the main scheme each time. That doesn't seem too great, D20. Like, why is this good? Well, the reason being is because you can actually put 3 hard to ignores out there. So after your hero defends against an attack, or I'm sorry, yeah, it gets attack and takes no damage, exhaust hard to ignore, 1 card, hard to ignore, 2nd card, hard to ignore, 3rd card. And you can now remove a total of 3 threat from the main scheme. Now, it's a 1-1-1, so don't like just group it together as 3 in case that matters, but it's a 1-1-1. But you can do that, right? That's absolutely something you can do, which I think a lot of people kind of forget about or don't realize what the builds are trying to tell them to do or whatever it may be. But it's not a unique card. There's no max 1 per person, and you can use that same trigger and condition to trigger all the other cards. It's pretty sweet. Right now, because of this card, if you are a solo player, this card basically just lets you run on cruise control for the main threat. Like now, when you flip down, it's still a little rough because like, okay, the main scheme is going to pop up a bit, so maybe you have to focus back in on it. But still, it's a really strong card, right? It's a really strong card. It's a really good card. Now, for multiplayer, I still don't think it's bad if you're running perfect protection anyway. Like, you might as well just help, you know, whoever's the thwarter out there remove a scheme or 2, right? It doesn't hurt. It's also nice that if you get like caught off guard where you have to discard upgrade support you control, and you have 2 of these out there, take 1, right? Like, whatever, just take 1. I'll get another one. We'll put another one back out. It's not a big deal. So I like hard to ignore for that as well. I think that's really good for multiplayer or solo, for both, really. But yeah, so it's super, I think, strong. I think it's super good. If I'm playing perfect defense or something close to it where I think I won't be taking any damage, it's a card I absolutely include. The question is, do I include 1 to 3? Usually I kind of go around 2 because I like to try to keep it as tight to 40 cards as close as possible. And I think 2 is a pretty good amount. 3, obviously, I want to be more aggressive. If I think I'm going to flip downtown or whatever it may be, sure. Like that's fine too. But let me know your thoughts. How do you run it? Do you run it with 3? Do you only run 1? Do you run 2? Whatever it may be. Let me know down below. All right, next one we have is the Rocket Raccoon Basic Ally. It's a really good ally. 3 cost ally, 2 thwart, 1 attack. Each of them does 1 consequential damage and has 3 life. D20, that sounds terrible. Why are you telling me this? Well, play only if your identity has the Guardian trait. D20, this still sounds terrible. Why are you excited about this? Because of this. Interrupt. When Rocket Raccoon attacks a minion, he gets +3 attack for that attack, and that attack gains overkill. So Rocket is swinging for 4. Now, again, there's a lot stronger minions out there nowadays, but especially early on in the game, a 4-cost minion, or a 4 health minion, I guess I should say, is probably getting wiped out by Rocket. And a lot of times it's nice to get that overkill, even if it's 1 damage. And it pings off that tough on that villain. Like, that's just such a good feeling. It just helps out with momentum. It just helps out with just everything, right? I think it's a massive, massive help. And again, you can sit there and try to heal up Rocket to kind of keep him around. You can Voltron build him out, so you give him more attack or whatever it may be, if you just want like him as a minion slayer. And if he's just chilling in the background, removing 2 threat as a solo player, that's phenomenal. Now, what makes it tricky is that, especially early on, there weren't a lot of Guardian heroes. So if you're playing a 4-player game, you're probably not running Rocket the ally. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, because Rocket the hero is pretty good, so you probably should be running him. So that gets tough, but I think as a solo hero a solo ally or a 2-player ally, I think he's pretty darn good, right? I think he's pretty darn strong. I run him. I mean, I guess as long as there's like 3 or 4 minions, I think I run him almost every single time, because even for those 3 or 4 minions, it's just nice. And again, two threat removal is nothing to sneeze at in true solo, right? That's a mount I will take every single time. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of this ally card. I think it's actually really good. I think a lot of people slept on it because, again, the Guardian box only had Groot and Rocket, and if you're playing them, then you can't play the Rocket ally. So I get why people are just kind of like whatever about it at first. But now that we have more Guardian heroes out there, the Rocket ally, I think, makes a lot more sense. And it's probably a card that I think a lot of people would use more frequently now. As always, let me know your thoughts about these cards. You run the Rocket Raccoon ally? I need to know. I run it every single time. Actually, anytime I play a Guardian ally, the basic Guardians, like, I run, I think, almost all of them. Except for Star-Lord. We'll get into that later. I don't run that one. But the rest of them I do. And I think they're all pretty good and pretty strong at what they do. Hard to Ignore, I like a lot. These are good cards. I mean, again, Groot has good cards in his deck. It's just not quite what Groot wants to do, unfortunately. But as always, let me know your thoughts. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you're listening to this on the podcast, make sure to subscribe, leave a review. All that stuff helps out a ton. And we'll see you all tomorrow.